Good evening and welcome to the Lowell Zoning Board of Appeals, public meeting for September 9, 2019. For a matter of decorum, if you wish to speak either in favor or in opposition this evening, please come to the lectern, state your name and sign in. If you have a cell phone, please place it on vibrate and take calls outside, as well as any lengthy conversations. As a matter of record, we have 4 voting members here this evening. Therefore, all petitions must require unanimous. Jared, we were notified this evening of 1 member unable to attend due to unforeseen circumstances. So we can move forward. If any petitioner wishes to take a continuance, we will do that. Confident we can move forward with all petitions this evening. Any comments, Jared?
That's correct. We learned about 5 minutes before the meeting that 1 member would not be able to attend, and so we are at 4, and you require a 4-0 vote on petitions to grant them their relief.
Thank you. That being said, I'm going to move to continued business, ZB 2019-25, variance, Westgate Development, Inc. at 153 Westford Street, Section 5.1. The applicant is seeking variance approval from Zoning Board to convert an existing building at 153 Westford Street into a 4-dwelling unit. The applicant is seeking to reinstate previous relief from the Zoning Board that elapsed before work commenced. The property is in a traditional neighborhood multifamily TMF zoning district and requires variance under Section 5.1, table of dimensional requirements for frontage, front yard setback, side yard setback, lot area per dwelling unit, and open space, and any other relief required of the Lowell zoning ordinance. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Good evening, gentlemen. My name is Tan Pham.
Good evening. So, sir, are you in receipt of the recent comments from the city?
Yes, I did. Jared
You have
sent
an
it to me.
opportunity to review those?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have anything you'd like to add or additional comments
No.
from those comments or from our previous
No.
meetings? Are you ready to move forward this evening?
Yes.
Okay,
I hope so.
as do I. That being said, I'd like to open it up to the public. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? Excuse me? If you'd like to address the chair, you can come to the podium. So I can't hear you either, ma'am.
What address?
Oh, okay. The address is 153 Westford Street.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. That being said, anyone wish to speak in favor? In favor? In favor. That portion of the public hearing is now closed. Anyone wish to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition. That portion of the public hearing is now closed. I'd like to open up to the board. Van?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the applicant. So in our last meeting, there was quite a few documents and plans that we requested. And it seems like you're trying to work with the city, DPD, the board to make this project viable. You know, as long as there's no other issues, you submit all the updated plans, I see no issues with this project. So I wish you the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Van. Dennis?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I just have a couple of questions, but the new site plan looks like it helps define what we're looking for. The intent seems to be to keep the existing foundations in place after the garage and the shed are raised. Is that correct?
Just like we have a letter from the civil engineer per request from the last meeting. So the civil engineer wrote a letter, and in the letter he suggested that after taking the garage down, the pavement will be removed, and then the foundation, which is about 2 feet, will be repointed or if necessary.
The foundation, it appears from the site plan you provided, is nearly 3 feet at the garage, and then at the shed, it's nearly 5 feet high, according to the site plan that you provided. However, there's a green space adjacent to that. If we can agree that the site plan you provided indicates a dotted line that I would interpret as the edge of pavement, is that correct?
That's correct.
So if we have the edge of pavement as the dotted line would maybe lead one to believe, even though it's not noted, there would be a reasonable green space between the pavement and the existing foundations, so the pavement wouldn't go right up to the existing foundations. Is that your intent?
Yes.
And that green space would then be allowed for the site to drain into, and that would mitigate any drainage problems on the adjacent lot. Is that the intent of the site plan?
Yes.
Okay.
We plan to plant the the green plants, Arbor vitae species.
Arborvitae, yep, that's great. I think those are wonderful. I like the fence. I like the fact that you have the topo. I like the fact that you have the green space. I'd just like to condition those three things or I guess two things, because it's not clear on the site plan, that the dotted line indicated on the site plan indicates edge of pavement, and that the green space between the edge of pavement and the existing foundation be used for drainage infiltration for the impervious material on the site.
Yes.
Great, great. I think that if the board will, my fellow members will support me in that. I think I'd like to just have those two clarifications for the site plan as conditions. And I think that this is a workable site plan, and I'm
Thank you.
glad that we finally got here.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dennis. Sean?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, thank you, Mr. Pham, for providing the, I know this has been a
Thank
long,
you.
arduous task, but looks like we're finally seeing the finish line on this. And I appreciate all the work, that you've done to try to get this.
Thank
in
you. I
order.
appreciate
The
that.
plans seem to be in order. I would be in agreement with Dennis on the conditions that he's asking for. Also, the comments, the DPD did recommend that we condition this on approval of a final layout by Lowell Regional Wastewater Utility, Lowell Water Utility, and the city engineer's office as well. So I'll be asking that be added as a condition as well. So I wish you the best of luck. So,
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. I am in agreement with Mr. McCarthy. I did have some same concerns and questions about the foundation that was part of the previous issue here. But that being reconciled, that we're going to be able to move forward with this. I know it's been a lengthy process, a couple of continuations, and we appreciate your patience. You worked with DPD, and that's what we asked you to do. But from the start to where we are today, it enables us to make a valid consideration on it. I know you.
Thank you.
You learned a lot of lessons here with the Zoning Board of Appeals, but moreover, you're taking a piece of property and you're going to invest in it, and you're investing in the city, and on behalf of the board, we appreciate that. And hopefully your time before us wasn't that painstaking. So we do have those two previously mentioned conditions, if you're in agreement with them.
Yes.
If you have any comments or any other comments by the board?
I do believe DPD also had one other comment about landscape plan, working with DPD to develop the landscape plan. Is that correct?
That's correct. Member McCarthy, you also mentioned the landscaping there, so up to your preference about how you want to phrase the condition.
What I mentioned in the landscaping condition is really regarding the green space being used for drainage. But I think that the DPD should still, the additional condition, the DPD, that they work with the applicant to develop the landscape plan, because I think it still is not 100% defined according to what was submitted.
Okay.
That'll work out great.
Thank you.
Okay, sure you're in agreement with those conditions, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That being said, may I have a motion?
Just to clarify,
strike
Dennis, can you just clarify? I'm gonna read off the conditions, but if Dennis can just clarify again what your conditions were again, because I wrote them down, but I tried to write them down, but.
So the first condition is that the dotted line at the edge of parking indicates the edge of impervious surface on the site, because that's not listed as a note there. So I just want to be clear as to what's on the site plan submitted, the dotted line. We will have a condition that is your edge of impervious surface.
Yes.
And then the second one is that the green space between the edge of impervious or dotted line and the existing foundations that are going to remain be used for drainage infiltration on the site.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Dennis. So
Thank you.
through you, Mr. Chairman, I can make a motion on ZB 2019-25 for 153 Westford Street for a variance under section 5.1 for frontage, front yard setback, side yard setback, land area per dwelling unit and open space to convert an existing building into 4 dwelling units with the following conditions. One is approval of the final layout by Lowell Regional Wastewater Utility, Lowell Water Utility, and civil engineer. The second is to work with DPD on a landscape plan. Third is well, we've accepted the plans, the revised plans of 8/27/19, that the dotted line at the edge of the parking is the edge of the impervious surface to the site, on the site plan, and that the green space be noted on the site plan be used for drainage.
Thank you, Mayor. Have a second.
I'll second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Have a roll call.
Chairman Perrin,
Approve with condition.
Member Peck,
Approve of conditions.
Member Callahan,
Approve of conditions?
Member McCarthy.
Approve with conditions.
So
Thank
you've
you.
been approved. Good luck over there.
Thank you.
One
Thanks
point of
for coming.
clarification, Chair. For the parking layout, because it requires additional relief, you may want to offer a separate motion related to section 6.1.10.
May I have a second motion?
Second motion. Oh, sorry.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for its variance, Jared. Variance under 6.1.10? 6.1.10 for the perpendicular parking.
May I have a second?
Second motion.
Roll call, please.
Chairman Perrin,
Approved.
Member Peck,
Approve of conditions.
Member Callahan,
Approve of conditions.
Member McCarthy.
Approve with condition.
Very well. You've been approved tonight.
Okay,
Twice.
thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Good luck over there. I'm going to move forward under new business. I'm going to take one item out of order. I'm going to take ZB 2019-35 for a variance. The applicant is J. Stamp, Brian Durkin at 25 Dinsmore. Section 5.1, the applicant is seeking variance approval at 25 Dinsmore Street. The applicant proposes to construct an attached 2-car garage with a living space above that requires a side yard setback and floor-to-area ratio variances. The proposed project is located at the suburban single-family SSF zoning district and requires variances approval from the zoning board under section 5.1 of Lowell zoning ordinance and any other self-relief required. Good evening, Councilor Geary.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is John Geary of Geary & Geary, 32 Church Street, Lowell, Mass. I'm here tonight on behalf of the petitioners, Brian and Julie Durkin, of 25 Dinsmore Street, Lowell, Mass. Also with me tonight is Jay Stamp of Stamp & Sons Construction. Jay is the contractor for the proposed addition. We are here tonight requesting relief from section 5.1 of the zoning bylaws with regard to floor area ratio and front yard setback to the garage. The Durkins have demolished what was an existing undersized single-car garage and a weathered, unheated breezeway that led from the garage to the home. They propose to replace that with a 2-car garage with a family room to the rear of it, along with a half bath. There will also be a staircase leading to the second floor of the garage, which will be unfinished and used for storage purposes. The dimensional requirements, I should say that 25 Dinsmore Street is located within the suburban single-family district, the SSF district. The dimensional requirements in that district require that a garage be offset from the street by 30 feet. The proposed addition would have the offset at 29.5 feet, so we're looking for relief of a half a foot with regard to that dimensional requirement. The floor area ratio for the district requires that the gross floor area not exceed 35% of the lot size. In this case, we have a pre-existing nonconformity. The existing home is at 40%. we're proposing adding about 1,158 square feet, which will bring that floor area ratio to 50%. So we need relief from that section of the bylaw as well. We feel as though our petition meets the criteria for a variance. The special hardship was created when the floor area ratio was instituted for this zoning district after the construction of this lot. So it would be impossible for the Durkins to meet that requirement of the zoning bylaw. With regard to the front yard setback to the garage, the proposed addition follows the same plane as the existing frontage of the home. So the lot actually angles in slightly if you're running south to north along Dinsmore Street. That is a particular hardship to the shape of this lot. So in granting the variance, there'd be no substantial detriment to the public good. In fact, I would suggest an addition of this nature would enhance the neighborhood, and the requested relief would also not nullify the or derogate from the intent of the zoning bylaws. So we respectively request your assent here, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you very much, Counselor. I appreciate it. I'd like to open up to the public. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition. That portion of public hearing is now closed. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor. That portion of the public hearing is now closed. I'd like to place on the record that the DPD were in receipt from abutters in favor, and we'll place those letters on the record. At this time, I'd like to open it up to the board. Dennis?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of questions, but I just want to say I am very appreciative of the thoroughness of your application and your thoroughness of the presentation to understand the criteria that we need to get through to honor the variance that you're asking. I like the fact that the garage that you're proposing is not designed in a manner that is asking for extra. It's a two-car garage. It's a sensible two-car garage. It's only 23 feet and a half wide. You've reduced the width of the existing mudroom in order to accomplish that. So you're doing what you can to give yourself a two-car garage that's reasonable, which I think is a nice step to take.
Absolutely, and the Durkins are lifelong residents of the city.
Yep.
They bought the home about a little over a year ago. They're trying to make the home conform with their needs and their growing family, and they intend to stay in the city for a long, long time.
And your family room that you're putting on, again, is a reasonable-sized family room for the house. I think that there's a lot of reasonableness to your decisions here that then drive you to require a variance in order to execute it. And I think a home of this stature, you know, if it were built today, would have a two-car garage.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of pluses, I think. So the criteria that you raised, I just want you to say it one more time about the variance regarding the lot and the FAR.
So the proposed addition, the frontage is maintained. That is, a portion of the existing dwelling will have the same front yard line as the proposed addition. The lot, so with the existing frontage, we have 30 feet from the street. If you look at the plan, we have 30 feet from the front of the house to the street. As you get over to the proposed addition, it's 29.5 feet. I'm suggesting that that is due to the lot angling in as you go from south to north along Dinsmore Street. And that is particular to this lot.
Okay. I think it makes sense from a site usage to grant relief for that 6 inches. I was more asking about the fact that the FAR is something that's
right.
Sort of
So that was,
conditioned.
I believe that floor area ratio was instituted, well after this home was constructed. There's no opportunity, and when the home was, so when that floor area ratio was included in the bylaw, they already exceeded it by 5%, or 10%, I should say, 5%. And now their addition is proposing an additional 1,158 square feet, That adds 10% to that, so they're at 50% when the addition is built. The requirement in this zoning district is 35%.
Wow. Yeah.
So there's nothing they can do about that. You know, they can demolish and detract from the home, but that doesn't serve any purpose.
No, we asked Jared to do a review of the FARs a few months ago, I think, and you did that. And so we know that the city does have some struggles there, and the board is receiving requirements for variances because of the FAR.
Right, and ultimately, the home and the addition, the home with the addition fits nicely on the lot.
It does. It does. It does. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have no further questions.
Thank you, Dennis. Sean?
Thank you through you, Mr. Chairman. Attorney Gary, thank you very much for your presentation. I don't see any issues with regards to this. I agree with you that, you know, the setback relief is fairly minimal, 6 inches, and I believe you're correct about the FAR. That does provide a special hardship, and it wouldn't break into the intended zoning. So I think I don't see any issues with this project, and I wish you the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Van?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'm in agreement with my colleagues. Very well presentation. I think this home or this proposal is going to match up very well with the neighborhood. And I think the relief that you're seeking is very, in my eyes, very minimal. So I think relief could be granted. So I wish you and the family the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Van. Well, Attorney Gary, we appreciate your due diligence and the patience of your clients here. Package is very well prepared. As you can see, the variance does present itself as a result of the topography of the land. So I wish the Durkin family the best of luck over there with their family room and this lovely addition. That being said, may I have a motion?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, on ZB 2019-35, I'd like to make a motion, 25 Dinsmore Street for approval, variance approval under section 5.1 for setback and floor to area ratio to construct an attached two-car garage with living space above.
May I have a second?
I'll second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Roll call, please.
Chairman Perrin,
Approved.
Member Peck,
Approve.
Member Callahan,
Approved.
Member McCarthy.
Approve.
Unanimously approved, Council. Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Moving forward under new business, ZB 2019-32 for a special permit, Column Health, 81 East Merrimack Street, Section 6.3.4. The applicant is seeking special permit approval from the zoning board to install a 34 square foot internally illuminated sign at 81 East Merrimack Street. The property is in the downtown mixed-use DMU zoning district and requires special permit approval under Section 6.3.4 and any other relief required in Lowell zoning ordinance. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I am Jason Perillo with Back Bay Sign Company, here this evening for Column Health. We have designed a sign for this location. It is a metal panel with halo-lit letters mounted to it. The panel is designed to fit within the existing architecture of the building. The letters are halo illuminated, and that is a sign where the lighting is internal to the letters that shines up against the building to create a silhouetted effect so that there isn't a direct illumination source. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you very much. This time I'd like to open up the public. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor. That portion of public hearing is now closed. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition. That portion of public hearing is now closed. I'd like to open up to the board. Dennis?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I just have a couple of questions, but I am very happy to see the application with its judgment for a sign that makes sense for the building and the architecture supports the existing sign ban.
Absolutely.
Very nice design, utilizing LED lighting. Hours of operation, do you have that, is that available?
Excuse me, sir, if you could approach the podium, state your name and address and sign in for record, public record. Thank you.
How's it going, everybody? My name is Gurtek Singh from Column Health. Helped create the space in Lowell at Merrimack Street. Really grateful for the Jarvis family to allow us the use of the space. The hours of operation in that specific location are about 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Fridays are a little bit shorter, but majority of it is just dependent on need and patient need.
So would you be lighting the sign during the daytime at 9, or would it start being turned on as it gets dark?
Yeah,
I mean, what's
the sign would be on a photo cell, so
Yep.
it would turn on once it gets dark. And as you know, in the wintertime, it can get dark pretty early, so the sign would go on, as soon as it, started getting it past, the evening hours.
So typically, our signs for businesses turn off, and they're not on 24 or on all night. So maybe making a condition that it turns off 1 hour after business at 7 p.m.?
Sure.
Is that something that makes sense?
We can absolutely do that, and my only remark to that would be our goal in creating the illuminated sign is an aspect of kind of advertisement. We don't do general to-market TV commercials or billboards of that sort because we are more community-focused. And so folks who need treatment, and especially for an organization like us that allows people to come in the next day when they're at that readiness stage, which is so short, as you may be aware, especially with this epidemic, we encourage as much signage visible on the street to ensure that, hey, there is an option for folks that are requiring treatment. But if that's the decision of the board, we're happy to comply.
It's a special permit to have an illuminated sign, and so it's not by right by any stretch. So that's typically the case, is that because of the special permit, we have a habit of requiring businesses to turn the signs off when they're not open.
Perfect. Yeah,
Okay.
so I think it is on a timer, so we
Yeah,
can adjust it
absolutely.
to an hour after business closes.
Great, thank you. No further questions.
Thank you, Dennis. Just to follow up on Mr. McCarthy's point, memory serves me in the past, we've done an hour prior to sunrise and an hour after sunset and/or 1 hour after closing. That'll enable you that morning visual time and the evening visual time. I'd like to lean more towards that if that works with you. So you'd be looking at, if you close at 6, it'd be 7, but if it gets dark at 5.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Yeah, that sounds good.
If it gets dark at 5, we're going to be 6?
Or an hour after closing, because they may
Or
end
an
up,
hour
if
after
they extend
closing.
their hours, I want to have an and/or, because if you end up extending hours to 7
Right.
down the line, I don't want you to be boxed into a 6 PM
No, I appreciate it.
time, because
Yeah,
if
we
you,
can keep it to an hour after closing.
okay?
Yeah.
And then you'll have that time in the morning as well.
Perfect.
That okay? Yeah. Because your times may change, and I'd hate to have to see you
Yeah,
apply for a new special permit to come back in front of us. So if you stay open until 7 or 8
Yeah.
in the future, you want to reserve that.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Moving forward, Sean?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have any questions or concerns, and as long as the we got the hours of illumination down, everything seems fine to me, so thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Van?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I think this is pretty straightforward, the marketing, the signage, makes sense to me. I just wanted to ask a little bit about, so what's the nature of the business? Just a quick summary of Column Health.
Sure, we do outpatient mental health treatment. We offer a full suite of modalities of care, which includes psychotherapy with a licensed psychotherapist, medication-assisted treatment with a licensed MD or nurse practitioner, and then psychopharmacology medication management. Lowell is one of 8 locations that we have now across the greater Boston region. All of them are certified and licensed by Department of Public Health and the Bureau of Substance Abuse and Services, as well as CARF International.
Sounds amazing. So I think this is a service that's needed, so I'm all for the sign, so I wish you the best of luck, sir.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you,
Chairman.
Van. Thank you, Van. So you're in agreement with the conditions for the hours? I have no comments. I made them. I just want to welcome you and your business. It's a well-needed service in the greater Lowell community. I think you've got a nice spot adjacent to the downtown, the roast beef place right next door. How many employees will you have?
At that location, we have 5 full-time employees.
Okay, great. And then also an added business to the tax rolls, and
Yep,
it's nice to
absolutely.
see, it's nice to see the Jarvis family being built and being utilized again. A wonderful property,
Yep.
wonderful family. Any other comments or concerns from the board?
So just to clarify, the illumination, again, the condition will be 1 hour before sunset to 1 hour after sunset or closing, whichever comes last, right?
Correct. That being said, may I have a motion?
Through Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion on ZB 2019-32 for 81 East Merrimack Street for a special permit under section 6.3.4 to install a 34-square-foot illuminated sign with the condition that the illumination would be 1 hour before sunset to 1 hour after sunset or closing, whichever comes last.
May I have a second?
Second the motion?
Have a roll call, please.
Chairman Perrin,
Approve with condition.
Member Peck,
Approve of conditions?
Member Callahan,
Approve a condition?
Member McCarthy.
Approve with condition.
Gentlemen, you've been approved. Best of luck over there.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
very much.
Moving forward under new business, ZB 2019-33 for variances, Matt Hammer, care of Chloe LLC at 157 Barica Street, Section 5.1. The applicant is seeking variance approval from the zoning board at 157 Barica Street. The applicant proposes to construct 3 residential townhouse dwellings and associated parking. The proposal project is located at suburban multifamily SMF zoning district and requires variances approval for front yard setback from the zoning board under section 5.1 of the Lowell zoning ordinance and any other relief required. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Kenneth Lanier, Cornerstone Land Consultants. I'm currently filling in for Mr. Hammer, who is stuck in Westford. Was hoping to do the 2-meeting in one night thing, but sometimes that gets a little bit difficult. So, contrary to people's beliefs, us engineers try to stick together, so I'm going to help them out a little bit here. We're before you this evening for 157 Billerica Street in Lowell. The applicant is Chloe LLC. He also couldn't be here this evening. So I'm here representing everybody. If you have questions, I'll do my best to answer them at this time. We're proposing 3 units. The 3 units consist of 1 attached unit to an existing 2-family structure that's on the parcel towards the front of the parcel, and then there'll be an additional 2 townhouse units detached located in the rear of the parcel. The project's been before the planning board and received special permit approval to allow the construction of the additional units on the lot with a unanimous 5-0 vote. And we're looking to actually only obtain variance approval for the existing structure. The proposed units all fall within the required zoning bylaw front yard and side yard setbacks, but the existing structure nicks the side yard setback and the front yard setback by a very minimal amount. 20-foot side yard was required, 18.1 is what the existing structure is, and on the front yard, 25 feet is required, and we're just shy of that, almost about a half a foot, 24.4. The applicant is seeking this under the non-conforming use for the hardship that to remove that structure would be a much greater hardship to the neighborhood than to just leave the existing structure as is. We believe that the application as well as the planning board is not more detrimental to the neighborhood, and hopefully will fall very well in kind with the neighboring properties. I do have some renderings here of the structures if you'd like to take a look at those, and I'd be glad to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you informing us about your colleague. We were a little concerned, but it's
It's all
always
right.
nice to see you as well.
Absolutely.
I will say at the onset, we always appreciate working with your firm. You're always well-prepared
Appreciate it.
with your documents and timely, and I just want to place that on the record. I'd like to open up to the public. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? That portion of public hearing is now closed. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition. That portion of the public hearing is now closed. I'd like to open it up to the board. Sean?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't really have any questions or concerns on this. The relief requested seems minimal with regards to the front yard setback, side yard setback, and this looks like a very, very good project that would fit in well with the area, so I wish you the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Van?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I agree, Mr. Callahan. I think the relief seeking here is very minimal, so I think this project makes sense, and wish you the best of luck, sir. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Van. Dennis?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask the applicant for the renderings, if
Yes,
that's possible. I agree with Sean that the request for the easements is fairly minimal.
So you can see you have the existing structures on the far right. The two proposed additional units are a unit in the rear, and then the one townhouse unit attached to the existing structure.
Okay. I'd like to condition the approval on the inclusion of the renderings submitted tonight as representation of the structure that'll be built.
Absolutely, no problem.
Okay. They don't have I was just wondering, how do we refer to them? Other than the name of your engineering, who's submitting these, I guess?
Well, I would like to take credit for these because they are excellent. They are very well put together, but there is no title block on them, so I'm not sure how you would reference them. We can handwrite something with Jared this evening, maybe on the title block, and we can log that into the record if you'd like.
That work for you, Jared?
Yeah, I'd
Okay.
make a suggestion, we can just sign these into the record, and then we can just forward
Yeah.
a new set of renderings with a title bar from the firm. We'll
Absolutely.
accept these as a draft.
All right.
Is that acceptable, Mr. McCarthy?
It sure is, and
Well,
I think
I'll
these,
sign it into record, and we'll make that a condition that you just forward
Absolutely.
the renderings with the title block date and signed by your firm.
and I think the restraint used by whoever designed these is, I think will be a welcome addition to the neighborhood. So, thank you. No further
Excellent.
questions.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. With that being said, I'm going to sign this into the record as a draft. You'll agree just as a minor condition to your petition this evening, new set of renderings with a title bar, with a stamp from your firm would be greatly appreciated. Any other comments or concern by any board members? That being said, may I have a motion?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion on ZB 2019-33 for 157 Barica Street for a variance under Section 5.1 for a front yard setback and side yard setback to construct 3 residential townhouse units with associated parking, with the condition the applicant to provide new renderings with providing a title bar stamp.
May I have a second?
I'll second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
May I have a roll call, please?
Chairman Perrin,
Approve with condition.
Member Peck,
Approve of conditions.
Member Callahan,
Approve a condition.
Member McCarthy.
Approve with condition.
So you've been unanimously approved. Wish you the best of luck
Wonderful.
over there
Thank
with
you
the
very much.
property. Thank you
Appreciate
for
it.
coming in. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Very well prepared. Moving on under new business, ZB 2019-34 for variances, Kenneth Lanier, care of JAF 27 LLC for 90 Lupine Road. Section 5.1, the applicant is seeking variance approval at 90 Lupine Road. The applicant proposes to construct a new single-family dwelling structure on a vacant parcel. The proposed project is located in a traditional single-family TSF zoning district and requires variance approval for minimum lot area, minimum frontage, and floor ratio FAR from the zoning board under Section 5.1 of the Lowell zone ordinance, and any other relief required.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Kenneth Laney, of Cornerstone Land Consultants, representing the applicant on this particular project this evening. We're looking to construct a single-family dwelling at 90 Lupine Road. The lot is undersized, so we are requesting a variance for the lot area. The lot is short frontage, so we're requesting a variance for the frontage. And as you had stated earlier in the meeting, due to these requirements, we're short on the floor area ratio. So what we're looking to seek for the variances in the TSF zone, which we are located, the parcel is required to have 7,000 square feet with a frontage of 70 feet and a floor area ratio of 35%. The lot in question at 90 Lupine, as it stands alone, is 4,881 square feet. It has 50 feet of frontage, and we're proposing a 48% floor area ratio. I have submitted plans for the structure, but I'm not sure if you had received the rendering of what we're looking for the front of the facade to look like. So if that's all right, I'd like to hand those out to you folks this evening.
Certainly, please. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, this parcel was created in 1917 and was a group of 3 other parcels that currently have an address at 25 Dean Avenue in Dracut, but also has an address of 90 Lupine in Lowell. So the town line separates the Lowell property from the Dracut property. I approached DPD to try to determine what the best way would be to approach the Zoning Board of Appeals, as there are some additional pieces of land on the back of the 25 Dean Avenue parcels that are in the city of Lowell's domain. And I was suggested to just bring forward the one parcel at 90 Lupine Road for the variance request this evening. The structure itself will meet all the current required setbacks in a traditional single-family zone. It does have the usable open space, so we aren't seeking any other relief for the structure itself, just relief for the lot area and the lot frontage. The parcel will have 4 off-street parking spaces, 1 in an internal garage and 3 in the driveway. I did have an opportunity to address some of the comments from the engineering department. There was a couple of concerns about the water line, utility pole, as well as the width of the driveway. I've modified all those to meet the requirements of the engineering department. Spoke with Christine earlier today. She did say if you folks wanted, I do have the updated plans that I could spread out for you, but again, it's minimal stuff. Just address the vertical granite curbing being relocated to handle the new driveway location, as well as modified that so it's only 15 feet wide. In the previous submission for the plan, it was 24 feet wide, which is greater than the maximum. The hardship here is that there is no additional land to get. This is one of the last, if not the last lot in the neighborhood that could house a single-family home. Zoning-wise, zoning in this area has been changed in the last decade. Previously, this was a 2-family zone, but there were some condos that went in about a decade ago that got concerns raised, and they actually modified the zoning in this area to single-family zone. So ultimately, our goal here is to comply with zoning, put a house up that is not detrimental to the neighborhood. It'll be a nice single-family home for a new, up-and-coming family to move into that'll be affordable. And our hope is that it'll, bring value to the rest of the neighborhood. I'd be glad to answer any questions at this time.
Thank you very much. I'd like to open it up to the public. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition?
Hello, my name's Kimberly Shepherd of 28 Patricia Ave. Sorry.
And I'm Stephen Shepherd of 28 Patricia Ave.
We have concerns about definitely the square footage. I know that we've listed all the numbers that have been stated. However, based on where our house is, it is extremely tight. I have photos to show you after if you would like. From the side of our house, it would be as if we were on top of this new house that is being proposed. May we bring you the photos? If that's okay.
Certainly. Thank you.
And the photos that you see are from 2 different angles, one from Lupine and then one from our backyard. Not only are we concerned about the square footage, which 7,000 does seem like a reasonable number, which the zoning board did conduct once ago, we're also concerned about the value of our house. We bought this house a couple years ago in Lowell, dead-end street. We love it. It's a perfect, it's my ideal location. Love it. And now having this brand-new house built right next to us makes me feel uncomfortable because that's not what we purchased the house for. We purchased it for the view, for our neighbors being close, but not on top of each other, squeezed in. Also concerned about the traffic, the loud construction. I don't know how long it takes to build the house, but I'm sure that's a few months of noise and trucks and building and... Anything else? I'm also concerned, we talked to other neighbors before, and apparently this same matter was brought up before and declined before, and we haven't seen anything in why it's okay now to propose a single-family house. before when it was said that no.
So those are our concerns.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition?
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Can you hear me? I have a normally loud voice.
Good to see you this evening. How are you?
Okay. Well, my name is Anne Marie Page. I own my home and live in Lowell at 26 Fremont Street, and I've signed in. And I sit on the executive board for the Centerville Neighborhood Action Group. And the family that's here today that just spoke live on Patricia Ave. And Lupine Road and this little piece of land is the next piece of land. Now, they shopped around a couple of years ago. They chose Lowell. They found the perfect house, everything, and they knew 7,000 square feet before you could build on something in Centerville. So they figured they were safe and sound, and they bought their dream house. Well, now, here we are talking to you gentlemen again, about 4,881 feet. The city and zoning changed Centerville to 7,000 square feet to put a house because Centerville has too many houses that are kissing close. So that's why we depend on you, and you follow the code of the law. And I feel they followed the code, they shopped, they came to the city of Lowell, they loved it, they bought their dream house, and now on this itty-bitty piece of land, and I've gone over to see this itty-bitty piece of land, somebody wants to put a house. Unless it's a little dollhouse, I don't think that's anywhere close to 7,000. We depend on you to protect our neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Kim Panad. This is my mom, Priscilla.
I'm Priscilla Martin.
Good evening.
We live on Dean. We've been there all our lives. We are here because I just received this letter. This was the first one I got. I guess she got one a little while ago. My concern is I have not seen a thing. We've lived in these houses all our lives. It was shot down years ago. It's an it's way too small to have a house in there. I'm very concerned about the traffic and the cars over there.
It's already like a racetrack.
It's crazy. People use it for a cut through.
They use Dean Avenue to get to Lupine Road.
I'm also worried that someone's going to buy it to flip it and not have any interest or concern about the neighborhood. I heard different plans about doing a curb cut on Dean for another driveway. I don't know if that's even correct, because no one came to me to show me plans or show me anything. But if that's the case, there's a bad corner right there. You cannot even pull out without almost getting into accidents over there. So I'm very concerned about the traffic, about the house being built. If you could see the view I have from my house right now, it's terrible. I have the house that Jack built across the street that I don't even know what's going on over there.
It's very
It's very
overcrowded
tight,
as
very
it is
overcrowded.
already.
There's no backyards, so I agree with Kim. I think she's gonna have people right on her back door. Not fair. It's just not, I'd like to know more about it, but I'm definitely opposed to it right now. There should not be a house there.
I lived there for 70 years, and I can't believe that they will allow this. I'm half in Lowell and half in Dracut, and so is her house. She lives right next door to me. So we have property in Lowell and in Dracut. We're the same as what they're talking about. The line goes right through. And it's just horrible that they would be trying to put a house
where it's supposed to be 7,000 square feet, and it's only 4,000. I also have an extra lot where I live, and I can imagine what would happen if I tried to build a house there. It's not buildable.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming out tonight.
It is very, very busy area.
People use it for a cut-through also. They go from Lakeview Avenue and Sladen Street, and they zoom up and down the road. They cut through into Lowell. I mean, my husband got into it with a neighbor. They almost hit each other. It's a bad corner. You need to go take a ride and see it if you don't know the area. It's very congested.
Familiar with the area?
Are you familiar with the area? Have you been there?
Yes, on several occasions. I'm very familiar with the area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very tiny lot.
I grew up in Centerville,
Okay.
portion of my life. Very familiar with the neighborhood.
Me as well,
So
Mr.
did I.
Chairman.
Yeah, we always visit the sites.
We
part
love
of the
it
requirement.
still. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you both sign in, ma'am? Did you register? Thank you.
Oh, you did it?
Okay, thank you. Any others wishing to speak in opposition? Okay, certainly, sir. Thank you. Any others wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? That portion of public hearing is now closed. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? In favor? Good evening.
Hi, guys. My name is Patty Crabtree, and it appears I'm the only one from actually Lupine Road that's going to speak here tonight. I brought actual pictures of the neighborhood when we're talking about this tiny lot on the street. We're sitting here talking about a tiny lot when 4 of the houses have less square footage than what Mr. Lanier and Ms. Lanier are looking to propose. Another thing that the neighborhood forgot is the reason it's 7,000 square feet is because of me. We were 2-family zoned. Melissa and Kenny could have ran with this years ago and put a 2-family up, and it would have went right under the radar. But we caused a big scene back a decade, of all of us, the neighborhood, as a unit, and we got our street rezoned. What they're looking to do is put a beautiful house in the neighborhood, and we're talking about traffic, and they're correct. It is a busy, cut-through neighborhood. Whether they put a house there or not isn't gonna change that. That house has a driveway. What I am upset about now that I'm sitting here is there's a property on our street that received a permit about 8 years ago, and all the variances aren't being met, but no one's gone out there. And I know the neighbors have all touched upon it, but nothing's being done. This project should be allowed to go through. We've all lived in the neighborhood 18 years. We raised our kids. My kids grew up with their kids. They grew up with their kids. And welcome to the neighborhood on Patricia Lane. But realistically, all our houses have houses in the backyard. That's the footprint of the neighborhood. That's what Centerville looks like. And had you been here years ago, you could have had a 2-family. So I would appreciate what you are gonna get. You're gonna get a beautiful project from the people on the street that take the most care of their land. I have pictures of all the houses that have less square footage than what he's proposing. And again, it fits the footprint. I would be extremely upset that we've got people that are in opposition that forget why the street is zoned that way. So can I give these pictures of the street?
Certainly, please. Thank you.
This one is the project that's been going on for 8 years, whose, I believe, garage touches the house. This is the never-ending project. I'm also going to say that Kenny took a chance.
Excuse me,
Yep.
one second, before we go any further, as it relates to this other project, what I would suggest, instead of bringing it here tonight, now you brought it onto the public record, that is something you should follow through with DPD at another time during the
Yes,
week.
absolutely. I think Mr. Poirier is going to do that as well, so I don't
That's
think
fine, but
we don't have a problem with that.
I don't
I
wanna
was just
open
using
another-
it
I'm
as
not gonna
far as
just-
square footage. It has less.
If I may finish,
Okay.
I'm not going to, I don't want to bring into the public record another property. It's not part of this petition.
Okay.
So if there's a complaint, if there's a zoning violation, if there's a complaint with DPD, I would appreciate if you chose those avenues to bring that to DPD.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Sounds good. Back here, though, when you look at those pictures, that's what the staple of the neighborhood looks like. So they're not doing anything outside. They've also posted, they've been to speak to everyone on Lupine Road. You didn't see one person in opposition. I'm from Lupine Road, because they have full support of the neighborhood. The people that you are, these are the people that are behind. We've got Drake residents, and then we've got, I feel really bad for you on Patricia Lane, but she's the only one that doesn't have someone in her backyard. So, I mean, as far as this, Lupine Road supports the Laniers.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. If you could, please follow up on your concerns with DPD during the week.
I think they're gonna.
Yep, that's great. We won't take that into a consideration this hearing. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Good evening, sir.
Hi, I'm George Bogue, 45 Dean Ave in Drake. I also have a section of my yard is in Lowell. The line runs kind of diagonally. So I have maybe a third of my yard, whereas, you know, Ken has a bigger section. I've lived on Dean Ave for 17 years. You know, I walk my dog on Lupine Road, familiar with the area. You know, in those 17 years, there's been a few places on Lupine Road that had big lots that have been split up. So there have been 2 or 3 other houses built on that road on smaller lots. So, yeah, this is not an unusual thing. I mean, it is probably a little small for the lot, but again, you know, I am a neighbor and I do support it.
Thank you, sir. Any others wishing to speak in favor? In favor?
Chairman, I do have letters.
Oh, certainly, if you could bring those forward, that'd be appreciated. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor. That portion of the public hearing is now closed. For submittal for the record, we've just been provided 6 letters of support from abutters on 86 Lupine, 91 Lupine, 95 Lupine, 70 Lupine, 24 Dean Ave, and 21 Dean Ave. Both in Dean Aves are in Drake. So we'll be submitting those as part of the record tonight. Have been provided by the clerk. We have letters in opposition. We'll be submitting as well. This was sent via email to DPD. for, doesn't provide their current address, but I'll submit this in opposition as well. Okay, any others wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor. That portion of the public hearing is now closed. This time I'd like to open it up to the board.
Before you do so, Mr. Chairman, point of personal privilege, I just want to set forth for the record that one of the submissions and persons that spoke on this petition today is a relative of mine, but I don't believe that that has any effect or any ethical violations of how I choose to decide. I just want to make sure that that's clear on the record. So,
Thank you, Mr. Clerk.
thank you.
Any other comments? At this time, I'd like to open it up to the board. Van?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I just want to say to all the neighbors and everyone who spoke, whether in favor or opposition, I think I'll speak for myself. I take the account of the neighbors and the butters and weigh the decision, and I think all my colleagues do, and we appreciate it. So, appreciate all the input from the neighbors tonight. But to you, Ms. Lania, I just wanted to give you the opportunity to have any comments or anything you want to address with the board in terms of what you heard tonight from all the neighbors and the butters.
Yeah, absolutely, Mr. Peck. So I bought this house 18 and a half years ago with the anticipation that in the future I might be able to subdivide the backyard to move forward with my retirement plan. We raised our two boys there since they were 2 and 4. They both now are 20 and 24, buying their own houses and moving along. So I understand that the lot is smaller than what typically is required in this zone, but more than 75% of the lots in this entire neighborhood do not meet the 7,000 square foot requirement. The parcel that Kim and Steve have on Patricia Road is actually only 5,700 square feet, whereas our parcel is 4,881 square feet. I do understand and sympathize with the close proximity of their home to the backyard of this home. I've actually, if you can see on the proposed plan, my plan was to take down, we each have a fence back there. I did get an opportunity to try and, I went and saw them Sunday night. They were busy, but I wanted to explain to them that my goal is to take down that fence that's between us, put up a brand new fence, try to just clean up that area so it isn't detrimental for them to look out their side window. It's a 6-foot-high fence. I'm in the backyard a good amount of times. I really can't see them. I don't think they can really see me through the fence. They have a pretty large shed there as well. But again, my hope isn't that I'm going to build this house and just let somebody come in and sell it. I'm personally building this house myself. I plan to start building this house in October, and I plan to be done before Christmas. So I've built houses before, so it's not going to be this long, drawn-out project in the neighborhood that's going on for 8 years. I've already got my subs lined up. I mean, everybody's going to come in and bang the house out. I will be in control of who buys the house, as I will be selling the house. So I don't want the neighborhood to think that I'm just willy-nilly coming in here to blow up a house. I personally live right next door, and I intend to still live next door after I'm done this project. I'm not building a house and moving out of the neighborhood. I'm actually hoping to make my lot better while I'm building this house. And hopefully expand my house in Drayton with the help of selling this home. Our hope is that, we've been good neighbors for 18 years to everybody, and, we're just looking to try and move forward in our retirement plan, and this was always part of the retirement plan. When I first bought this lot 18 years ago, it met the requirements, and, I kind of kicked myself in the butt for not doing it back then. But it wasn't my plan. I wanted to let the kids grow up with the backyard that was large in nature, play soccer, have parties, for them to grow up in, and that's what I did. I understand that there's a concern with traffic. This particular project was designed to ensure that there wouldn't be any on-street parking. They have 4 parking spaces on the parcel itself. And again, we reiterate that this is a small lot, but I'm putting up a 26 by 44 structure that does not require a variance for any setbacks front yard, side yard, or rear yard. So if the lot was too small, you know, we wouldn't be able to fit a 2,200 square foot house on it. The structure itself, as you can see from the rendering that I provide you in the plans, it's going to be a beautiful 3-bedroom home. It's going to increase the value of the neighborhood. The lot will be clean. The direct abutting neighbors, except, you know, obviously for Kim and Steve, are all in favor of it, and they are on Lupine, which is the road that addresses the traffic issue. Patricia Ave actually doesn't come through to Lupine. They enter out all the way onto Lakeview Avenue. There was some other issues brought up, I believe, of noise for construction, and again, you know, I can't say there's not going to be any noise. We're building a house. It's wood, it's cutting, it's sawing. It will be 4 months of noise, but we will do our best to meet the requirements of the city of Lowell and only work during the times that we're allowed to work, which is a typical work day. And I believe the only other thing, and again, you know, just looking up Patricia Lane, there isn't a single lot on Patricia Lane that meets the current zoning requirements for square footage. So again, we're trying to enhance the neighborhood. I've used the backyard for my entire time in Drake and Lowell, and we're hoping to try to move forward in our future, and this was part of our plan.
Okay, thank you for those comments, Ms. Lania. You know, I do believe that this project is it's palatable. It does make sense. It is in line with you know, current zoning. You know, hopefully it sounds like you've been a good neighbor, a good resident over the years, over the decades being there. You know, my wish, I think, for you in the neighborhood is through this process, you know, whatever happens, continue to work with the neighbors and your fellow neighborhood, just to make sure that you know, everyone's informed, and just at least if they don't agree, at least everyone's kind of on the same page, what's going to be done, and at least we could have open dialogue. So those are my comments.
Absolutely.
I wish you the best of luck. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Van. Dennis? Excuse me. The public hearing has been closed. Dennis?
Sure, thank you. Through you, Mr. Chairman, I just have a couple of questions. I think Anne Marie Page from the neighborhood group has a great point about the density in the neighborhood. This is a variance of significant change to the lot area. It's 31% reduction in what's required. It's almost a third that you don't have to build a house according to the City of Lowell's requirements by zoning. And the board, in order to grant a variance, is required to be able to meet the 3 conditions. First one being hardship.
Correct.
Of the soil conditions, shape, topography of such land or structures. I don't see any soil conditions, shape, or land or topography presented that shows hardship.
Well, I would say that the shape of the land and its proximity to the town line, not allowing us to add additional square footage to the land, would be your hardship. So there's no way for me to even make 7,000 square feet. There's no 7,000 square feet there.
But that's why you can't build on it according to zoning. That's the hardship. You're trying to create a lot that you can't create because you don't have land. That doesn't mean you have a, I'm confused. How does that, there's a lot of lots like that.
No, well, again, so my hardship is when I bought the land, it was a buildable lot. So the zoning has since changed and pushed me out of not having a buildable lot. And please remember, I have more land in Lowell. And I could have added more land to this in Lowell to get a 6,177 square foot lot, but I was directed by DPD to stick with just 90 Lupine and not to add 90.1 and 90.2 to the application. Now, if the concern here is lot area, and you are concerned with the 31% reduction, I can add land to this and make it 6,177 square feet.
It is.
Yeah, I understand.
That is exactly what, 31% reduction in the requirement by zoning is a huge reduction in my head.
I understand.
And I can't see how that doesn't go to the third requirement that you're required to meet, is the relief request can be granted without nullifying or substantially derogating from the intent of a 7,000 square foot lot, which is to minimize density in that neighborhood. Even though it is a dense neighborhood, I think it was changed from smaller lots to a larger lot to relieve the density so that people couldn't build on smaller lots. And I believe that was the intent of going to larger lots when it was changed after you bought your lot.
Well, that's all right.
Excuse me, ma'am. Ma'am, we cannot, we will not have comments and communications from the public. The public hearing has been closed. Thank you.
If I may.
Absolutely,
All right,
please do.
Excellent. So I was there at the rezoning, and the rezoning was tough because, nobody in these older neighborhoods wants to see anything built. Nobody does. Everybody's been there for 20, 30 years, and nobody wants any new development, no matter where you are, in any city or in any town. Unless you're doing the development, you want it because obviously financially it's a benefit, but nobody else wants it. So in this particular situation, a group of builders came in. They bought up an older house that probably had been there since 1925. They took one house down and built 4 condominium units. So it was a tough thing for the neighborhood to swallow. And at that point, that's why there was such a push to take that 2-family zoning out so that those lots couldn't be built in that neighborhood. Ideally, there really isn't any other land available except for this one last lot. There's one gentleman down at the end of Lupine that might be able to do a lot down there as well. But other than that, there is no more buildable land in that area. So ultimately, the goal for this is a single-family home, which I feel would be ingenuous with the remainder of the neighborhood. It's not detrimental. It's a single-family house on a lot that we're proposing is 4,881 square feet. But again, if that's the concern, and I can understand that, and even back in the day, 5,000 square feet was your minimum lot area. I can increase this lot size to 6,177 square feet. It would only require an 830 square foot variance. But again, the reason that we're with this application before you tonight as is was because that's how I was directed by DPD.
Personally,
Yes,
as a member of the board, I can't support the 31%.
I
And
understand.
tonight, you only have 4 members.
I understand.
And if one member
I hear
can't
you.
support it, you might want to continue it.
Well, I hear you loud and clear. So my anticipation would be, taking your information and your concerns, is to go back to the application. I'll complete an A&R plan to add the additional area.
I'm only one member, but that would
I
make me
understand.
happy.
Well, I mean, when you need 4, everybody's important.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Dennis. Sean?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah. No, Ms. Laney, I follow you. I think you do have a hardship in this instance. You are right next to the border. How far away is the property from the border?
It would be 22 feet.
So, as far as the,
And Mr. Callen, I could have made the property line the town line. I mean, there's case law in the city of Lowell and the town of Dracut that Dracut doesn't count Lowell land, Lowell don't count Dracut land, so and there's case law. So in this particular case, where I do straddle the line, I'll still be left with 9,500 square feet in Dracut. The only reason we went with just a single lot was because if I go with the other 2 parcels in Lowell, I'll have to rip down my garage. And if that's the case, I'm fine with doing that. I feel as though it's more beneficial to me to move forward with a single-family house than worry about my own garage. So if I need to add some additional land, I can. I have that ability. I have 6,177 square feet in Lowell that I could contribute to this entire lot. And, from the sound of the board and how we're moving forward, it sounds like that might be my best avenue.
I mean, if you want to go back to the drawing board on that and try to reconfigure,
Absolutely.
I would have no problems with that. I mean, I'll be honest, I think just based on what you have right now, I did think you would meet the criteria of a special hardship based on the fact that you are right up next to the border
I
of
appreciate
Dracut.
it.
I mean, at this point right now, I mean, the land, but isn't the whole property, it's all merged together,
Right,
correct?
so right now it's one lot.
Yeah.
And what I need to do is produce an approval not required plan. But obviously, I didn't want to move forward with that expense until I obtained the variance approvals. And again, my initial intention in front of Christine at DPD was to do the entire parcel, but she noticed that it would require me to rip down my garage. So she suggested I move forward with the smaller parcel. And again, I mean, I'm okay with the process. I'm a civil engineer. I've been doing this for 20 years. I get the play. So I have no problem going back to the drawing board, adding the additional land area, providing this parcel to be a much larger parcel. At this point, once I add the land area, this parcel will be bigger than most of the parcels on Patricia Street, and again, will more than likely be bigger than, I would say, 90% of the parcels on this surrounding neighborhood. So,
Yes, so I mentioned, funny you mentioned that, because I was looking at the condition, one of the things that DPD brought up in their comments was, although the lot, as constituted now, would be similar to that, it would be the second smallest on the
Correct.
block. But they also make a note that 75% of the lots all are under minimum requirements in that area. So, again, as you stated, if you want to go back to the drawing board, maybe that's probably best
absolutely.
the best scenario at this point right now. So I'll just withhold any other further questions or comments at this point right now. So thank you.
Thank you, Sean. So clearly, in light of the comments and the situation and
Chairman Perrin, I'd
the
like
board
to
membership
request-
tonight,
Yep.
as we indicated earlier on the record, in order, if we do move forward, you have to get a 4-0 unanimous.
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, one negative vote is fatal.
Yep.
And it puts you
Yeah, so I would actually like to request a continuance at this time.
for the
And,
first meeting of October,
Yes, sir.
which would be, we
Is that,
have,
Columbus Day weekend?
we have Columbus Day weekend, so we should be,
So it'll be Thursday.
it'll be a Thursday. Is that
That,
your
yeah,
schedule?
absolutely, that is acceptable.
That's the next open meeting. We have
I will-
Columbus Day on Monday, and
We'll take it.
we move right to the Thursday of that week. So that being said,
Absolutely.
we now seek approval for a continuance to October 17th, requested by the petitioner. May I have a motion?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, on ZB 2019-34 for 90 Lupine Road, I'd like to make a motion to continue this public hearing to October 17th, 2019.
We have a second.
Second motion.
Have a roll call.
Chairman Perrin,
Approved the continuance to October 17th.
Member Peck,
Approve continuance.
Member Callahan,
Approve continuance.
Member McCarthy.
Approve continuance to October 17th.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. You
Pleasure.
guys have a great evening.
Thank you for coming in, sir. As a matter of notice, this is the public notice for this continuance to October 17th. There will be no other public notice required under ZBA. I'd like to move forward under new business, ZB 2019-36. For variance, we have Richard Demers at 44 Lamb Street, Section 5.1. The applicant is seeking variance approval from the zoning board to add an addition to an existing single-family home at 44 Lamb Street. The property is in traditional neighborhood, single-family TSF zoning district and requires a variance under Section 5.1, Table of Dimensional Requirements for Maximum Floor Area Ratio, and any other relief required of Lowell zoning ordinance. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. My name is Richard Demers, members of the board. I live at 44 Lamb Street in Pawtuckaville. I'm a lifelong resident of Lowell. We've lived in Pawtuckaville on Lamb Street for 20 years. Here this evening requesting a variance for an addition to my residence, and the purpose of the addition is I have an elderly sister who's having mobility problems. She lives in a resident now where it's 2 or 3 floors. She's unable to maneuver up in the 2 or 3 floors. She needs a single floor to maneuver. She needs more medical attention. So we've decided to put the addition on. She's gonna move in with me and my wife. This is my wife, Lisa. And we're gonna be able to keep a better eye on her and keep her medically safer than she is living alone. So that's the purpose of it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the information. That being said, I'd like to open it up to the public. Anyone wishing to speak in favor? In favor? Good
My
evening,
name's
sir.
Roland Mainville, 78 Westview Road, Lowell. I'm just going to speak as the contractor. I'm going to be building the addition. It has been laid out very well. We've worked with DPD, Christine and Jared. We're not changing anything to the lot. We're adding an addition in the back of the house. It doesn't affect any neighbors at all. So I just want to not so much speak in favor, but as the builder, say that it's going to be a good project. And I've done a lot of stuff here in the city.
Yes, we're aware of that, sir. If you don't mind just signing in for public record, I appreciate your input and time. Any others wishing to speak in favor?
I think they stole the pen.
In favor? In favor, that portion of the public hearing is now closed. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? In opposition? That portion of the public hearing is now closed. I'd like to open it up to the board. Dennis?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I just have a couple of questions regarding the structure, the changes that you're making. It appears that you're asking for 8 inches of additional encroachment on the side yard setback. You're going from, I think, roughly 12 foot to 12 foot 8, is that right, on that addition based on where your porch ends and what you're asking for the addition to do?
I'm sorry, Mr. McCarthy, can you repeat that question?
So the
Anyone?
encroachment on the side yard
Sir,
setback.
may I, excuse me, Mr. McCarthy, I apologize. Sir, may I ask you to close those chambers doors if you'd be so kind? I appreciate that. Make it easier for the petitioners to hear. You get that back noise.
So again, what was the question?
Thank you, sir. Appreciate your help.
So I think we're looking for relief for a side yard setback. Jared, is that correct?
No, sir, we're just looking for relief for the square foot ratio.
Just the FAR?
Yeah, my understanding, because of the 2.7 feet side yard setback, would not have been an issue because the existing structure is non-conforming, and that would have been fine.
Looking at the staff memo, I only see reference to the floor area ratio.
Okay, so I was a little confused because I understand it's not conforming now. I wasn't quite sure if it was not conforming because of setbacks, but if it's just the floor area ratio that we're worried about. I don't see anything that stipulates what the required floor area ratio is per zoning and what you're going to be providing. Is that something I missed, or is that documented somewhere in the plans that were submitted?
That's not something that we did. When I applied for my building permit, we were denied based on square foot ratio. So I did not do the numbers, so I don't know what that is or how short we are or anything of that sort.
For the record, I'm in favor of this project. I just want to know what I'm in favor of. So I'm just trying to get a handle on what it is we're saying as the FAR is. And maybe we could...
I think we might be able to calculate it from the zoning table. It looks like the gross area of the building coverage today is just about 3,600, 3,610. A minimum lot size today is 6,517, which means that the current FAR is 0.55. And then it's an addition of 400. So 400 plus the 3,610 divided by 6,517 of lot size is 0.62 rounded up. So 0.55 to 0.62.
And the zoning is?
It's the TSF, so it's currently at 0.35.
Okay.
And what did you add for square footage, just so I know? You're just adding the addition?
Yeah, it's new 400 square feet in the zoning table. I mean, this is a rough number now, so I'm not sure exactly how exact that is, but.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because we are ripping an existing portion of it down and then rebuilding. So I just want to make sure we're not adding that square footage, because that square footage is already there. Like the plans show that me demolishing the kitchen area that's there, but rebuilding it back the way it is right now. It's just that it's not supported properly, so I have to put a foundation under it. So I just want to make sure that the square footage that we're adding is just the addition off the back, the bedroom, and not the, what I'm ripping down and putting
I think
back.
he's got a good point.
Yeah,
The zoning table, as I interpret it, says new 400 square feet, so I believe that that would be just about the
And that
addition.
does make sense.
So again, those numbers that I
So it would be a,
checked
it
are
would be a
0.62,
net,
0.55.
it would be a net, there would be no loss or no gain.
One more thing to add, to update our FAR changes that you documented a couple of weeks ago, as we continue down this journey of troubling FARs. However, it does seem to make a lot of sense with the lot, and I think that it's showing restraint as far as what you're trying to do. You're not asking for a big, big change to the neighborhood and to the structure itself. And so I think that I can support this. And so, thank you very much.
Thank you, Sean. Dennis?
Dennis, Sean.
Strike that, I apologize. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.
Sean?
Through you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Yeah, I don't really see any real issues with this. So I feel you meet all the criteria. There is certainly a hardship here with regards to with the property and what you're trying to do, and there's been no real opposition. So I'm in favor of the granting the relief. So thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Dennis? Strike that, Van.
Through you, Mr. Chairman.
I apologize. I'm on my,
It's been a long night, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the applicant, I think this is pretty straightforward. It's very minimal relief. I think the addition and the relief you're seeking can be granted. And I wish you and your family members best of luck. So, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
thank you. So I appreciate your comments in just referencing the replacement of the square footage so it doesn't make it seem like it's a bigger FAR, because that's a good point of clarification. I appreciate you bringing that forward. As they say, ask and you shall receive. We did bring, as a board, started looking into the FAR of variances throughout the city, and DPD did a tremendous job with the report and providing information for us. And now it seems like all our petitions are FAR related. So we are doing our due diligence as a board, and as a builder. I appreciate your time and effort. Certainly, Mr. Demers, we appreciate you coming in tonight and being more prepared with your wife. As stated by the board, you are showing restraint. That's a beautiful neighborhood over there, a little country part of the city, if you will.
It's God's country.
It's a hidden gem. It certainly is. You feel as though you've left Kansas. So I appreciate your time and effort coming in and being prepared. And,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We'll
Thank
move
you,
forward.
Mr. Board.
Any other comments or concerns? May I have a motion?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion on ZB 2019-36 for 44 Lamb Street for approval, a variance approval under section 5.1 for FAR to add an addition to an existing single-family home.
May I have a second?
I'll second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
May I have a roll call?
Chairman Perrin,
Approved.
Member Peck,
Approve.
Member Callahan,
Approved.
Member McCarthy.
Approved.
Unanimously approved.
Thank you.
Best of
Have a
luck
good
over
night.
there.
Appreciate it.
Have a good evening. Moving forward under other business for administrative review at 201 Coben Street, ZB 2016-37 for variance, PCEA Nema Church Incorporated at 201 Coben Street, section 6.1.4. The applicant is before the board to satisfy a condition of approval for a parking variance for the PCEA Nema Church granted in July 2016. The board conditioned that there be a 6-month administrative review to evaluate the success of the reduced parking to 99 parking spaces. The church did not receive occupancy until November 2017. At the June 25th, 2018 meeting, the zoning board requested an additional 6-month review of the parking conditions. Is there anyone here to speak on behalf of the administrative review? Good evening. And I appreciate you coming in this evening. I know in our previous meeting, we had a lot of members of your church as well as the neighborhood community. And as it was pointed out at that time, We're in the mayor's reception room, and just for, repurpose of identifying what the community is all about, this is a perfect example of the community, a petitioner, the DPD and this board working together as a positive working group and allowing what you're doing over there on that property since you've taken over. So it's a credit to you and to your membership. So
Thank you, Mr.
welcome back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm here with Pastor Karimi and also with William and Jackie. And I think we're just here to satisfy the requirement. But again, I think since the last meeting, it's a pleasure actually being in front of you guys, because I think this is what community is all about. And again, we're happy to be here. And hopefully we can get this matter closed. And I think the church has been proactive in engaging the neighborhood. I think one of the first products of that meeting was get together with the neighborhood. I didn't attend, but I believe it was a good way of bringing people together. I definitely want to talk about the meeting, because for me it was a surprise just how it changed from tension to, a lot of warmth of people who, I think when you stay apart from each other, you sort of it's a misunderstanding of not knowing rather than people doing wrong. So I think it's also a testament to what you guys are doing. So we appreciate it.
Pleasure. You can tell from the comments from previous to where we are today that property over there, you've done a wonderful job with it. Tonight is a testament that you're doing positive things, you're enriching the community, you ingratiated them, because last time we had, like you said, we had a lot of people for and against, and everyone spoke their position. Any of the board members have any comments or concerns? Dennis?
I would just like to say thank you for following through with the administrative review and for everything the church has been doing over there to make sure that you're a good neighbor and an outstanding organization, I think, and supportive of the neighbors around you. It's wonderful to see it, and I think you should be recognized, and I'm really glad you're here for that tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dennis. Van?
Mr. Chairman, through you, sir, I do want to echo the sentiments of you, Mr. Chairman, and you, sir. I think the church and the community, it's a great partnership, great collaboration. It's really about being neighborly and respecting each other. And, I think I remember the last meeting, there's a lot of concerns about parking and traffic and, traffic control, crowd control and all that. But it seems like, the neighborhood adjusted well. The church seems to be adjusted well. So I think it's a testament to you, sir, and to the organization, to the church, that, we're all neighbors, we're all working together, just to have a good neighborhood, a good partnership with everybody. So thank you for coming in, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Van. Sean?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I share the same sentiments of the board as well. At our last meeting, I don't even think it was recorded, if I recall, because we were in the mayor's reception room, and that was before they started recording in the mayor's reception room. But it was just one of those. It was just a sight to see, where we have these two, people for, people against. It was very contentious, and then by the end, everybody was, in agreement. Or it was just such a great sight to see. And I think Mr. Chairman mentioned last time we were in the mayor's reception room, I think he brought up this petition as well about how, it's just great to see, especially in these days where things can get contentious on a turn of a dime, a flip of a dime or whatever. But I'm just glad to see that, things are going well over there. You guys are doing great work, and I wish you the absolute best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. I would be remiss if I didn't comment on the neighbors of that community that came that evening. who are not here this evening, who moved in a positive way. If they are watching, they're part of this positive process in Centerville and in the neighborhood. So I'd like to have a credit to them. At this point, we see no reason for any further administrative reviews. You're now moving forward under this particular vote and continue to do the good work you're doing. We thank you for coming in.
All right, thank you.
We don't have to vote on an administrative review, no, just a conclusion. Thank you very much. Keep
All
it
right.
up.
Thank you.
For your continued time. Moving under another administrative view at 138, 140 Middlesex Street, ZB 2018-43, for special permit and variance. Marlowe Building and Design, Inc., 138, 140 Middlesex Street, Section 6.1.4 and 12.1, Section C. The applicant is seeking a minor modification to a previous approval on October 11, 2018. The applicant received special permit and variance approval to redevelop an existing building into the 3 ground floor commercial units and 3 apartments at 138, 140 Middlesex Street in the downtown mixed-use DMU zoning district. The project required special permit approval under Article 12, Section C for the 3 dwelling units on 1 lot and variance approval under 6.1.4 for a residential off-street parking requirement. Good evening, Mr. Marlowe. How are you this evening? Great to see you.
For the record, Peter Marlowe, Marlowe Building and Design, 258 West Manchester Street, Lowell, Mass. Can I approach to give you some updated information
Certainly.
that might help?
Thank you.
Anthony, who just left,
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, just to bring us up to date, this is the former Hanover Shoe Company in the back of the Elliott hot dog. And Mr. Ribeiro couldn't make it here tonight. He's a hard-working guy, and he has to leave at 5:30 in the morning, so I said I think I can handle it. So if you have any questions, I'll take care of it for him. But when we came in front of you, there was an existing 3 stores on the ground floor, 3 storefronts, and we were keeping that. But then we asked that we could keep, there wasn't 1 apartment upstairs. You granted us to do 1 large apartment and 2 smaller apartments on the 2nd floor. And Mr. Ribeiro and his wife plan on living there. But when they purchased the building, we came in front of you in September. And when he purchased the building, we could barely walk through it. There was no access to the attic. You could barely stand up in it. And it was just filled with leather and products. I think to date we've used, between the remodeling and the gutting and emptying the basement, I think we're up to 37 40-yard containers. So it's a lot of material that came out. So I hope you can understand that once we opened it all up, and I'm going to grab the picture so I can explain it to you. Once we opened it all up, he was trying to save as much as he could. So I finally said to him, Jose, you've got to take this beadboard off the ceiling on the 1st floor. And when all that beadboard came down, it had been all covered over. There had been a fire in there. The joist had been all sisted together. It had to come down. So it really changed our whole plan. But what happened is once we got up into the attic, we found that we could drop our joist down lower on the attic floor, and we gained space. Now, he's not putting another apartment up there. One of his daughters is going to live with him, so he wanted to try to give her a little bit of her own space. So the stairway actually comes up from his living room. So if you go to page... if you go to page A4, you'll actually see the loft area that's designed with a bedroom, and then he put a patio over the addition that you people granted. So it's just giving her a little bit of her own space in this loft area. We did end up, we've had Dave Fuller over there. He just said, make sure you get a certain amount of headroom, and we do have the headroom. We were just barely able to get it fit in using some special joists that we ordered that'll span the full 24 feet of the width of the building. We also met with Anthony, we met with the Historic Board, and we met with the architect from the National Park to go over the dormers that we want to add to give this a little bit of open space up there. So we get all this drawn, we get everything done, and they had been giving us permits in phases. So we got permits for the bottom 3 stores, and then I went for the permit for the upper floors, the apartment sections of it. And Christine called me, and she says, I can't give you the permit. She said, it says right on here you can't use the attic space. So I said, do I have to go back? She said, fully? She said, no, you might be able to go back for a review, and if it's minor, you might be able to get it granted. So that's what I'm here for tonight. And you can see, we're not trying to make another apartment. I want to really make that clear. This is livable space because this family, the Ribeiros, are actually going to live there. They live on Woburn Street in Lowell right now. They have a cottage in the back behind another duplex, and they're going to rent that, and they're going to move into this location. They are getting up in age. They sort of like the downtown area, especially with the new courthouse going in. So they think it's going to be quite revitalized. They also own, and I mentioned this before, South Street, Romeo and Juliet, the restaurant. So they've been spending some money in the neighborhood, lifting it up. So they are invested in the neighborhood. So they own that building, they bought this building, and we're in the process of remodeling. A little bigger project than he expected. Historic is not easy, you know. But that's basically what we're here for, is just to see if we can get a little relief on that so we can use the attic space now that we know we can get up in there.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the updated information and the backstory. Certainly, your clients have nothing but good intentions for their properties, the city of Lowell, their future tenants and their current tenants. They chose the right guy
Yeah.
to
Thank you, I
partner up
appreciate
with.
that.
Everything
Yeah.
that you've brought before us in many, many years is always.
If you're going to do it, you might as well do it right.
It's always quality work. You're always well prepared. Your plans are always up to task. So, from an administrative review standpoint, all we'll need is just a clarification in a notice, Jared?
I think in this instance, you could just vote to grant a minor modification if
Okay.
that was what the board chose to do.
Great. Okay. Any other comments? Dennis?
I just think that if I recall the intent in my mind of the attic not being livable space as a condition was to keep with the quantity of units that you had.
That's how I
The
think that was put
variance
in
for
there,
the
yes.
parking, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you've been able to create such a dynamic space
Yeah.
in the new plan. And you got an outdoor patio on top of it.
It's really a neat space, and originally it had these giant beams in there.
Wow.
All with rods coming down from the roof, and the joists were going in the opposite direction. And the more I looked at it, once we took it out, I said, why can't I go from one end to the other? And it just solved so many problems, and we were able to get that attic space. We end up with 7'6" in the attic.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's nice. It's nice, and it gives him a little extra space, so he's really thrilled about it.
Added the 2 dormers. It only gets better. Wow.
Yeah.
I agree. I think this is just a minor modification for sure, because you're not adding another unit.
No,
And
no.
and that would have been the
I think that's what that
modification.
was. I
Yep,
agree.
absolutely right. Thank you.
Thank you, Van.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I think, this is a great project, and, for this administrative review, like my colleague said, it's a minor update, minor modification, so I wish you the best of luck, Mr. Marlowe. Thank you for
Thank you.
staying alone and working alone. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Van. Sean?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, thank you, Mr. Marlowe. You know, again, great job putting the presentation together, and I don't see any issues with regards to this minor modification. It'd be great to see this property, rehabbed. The last time you were here, when we put all this together, I mean, looking forward to that property, putting it together, and it's just going to make this even better. So
Yep.
I wish you
Yep.
the best of luck. Thank you.
So that being said, if we could make a motion for a minor modification to ZB 2018-43.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion on ZB 2018-43 for 138-140 Middlesex Street for a minor modification of the previously granted special permit and variances under section 6.1.4 and 12.1C.
May I have a second?
Second motion.
May I have a roll call?
Chairman Perrin,
Approve modifications.
Member Peck,
Approve modification.
Member Callahan,
Approve modification.
Member McCarthy.
Approve minor modification.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Been unanimously approved, sir. Best of luck, Mr. Marlowe, and there'll be no need for any further administrative review. Moving forward, under other business, we have minutes for approval for August 12th, 2019. Anybody have any concerns, edits, reviews, or redactions?
I belong in the Lupine.
Excuse me, sir?
I belong in the Lupine situation, and I'm not speaking for it or against it. I just want to ask you guys a question on 91 Lupine. I live on 13 DeRosa Street. I've been in that neighborhood for 50 years. I lived on Lupine for a brief period of time. I bought a house at 19 DeRosa Street, and then I bought the corner house at 75 Lupine and DeRosa Street. Then I built a house on 13 DeRosa Street. There's a guy on 91 Lupine that has a little house. The house I owned on 75 Lupine was built in 1922 by the gentleman that lived in that house. He built 75, he built the next corner in 91, in 1922. This joker has, I don't know how he got the permits to do what he's doing to that house. Now, the garage in the back caught fire. He was doing something, and he since built a garage that's twice as big as the garage was there. He's got 4,500 square feet of land there, and that was built in 22, like I say. I don't understand, if you guys get a chance to go look at that, he's putting up something that just doesn't belong there. And I don't understand it. I've talked to the building inspector, the new one, and he went to see him. Supposedly, he needed another month. And the lot is a disgrace. I mean, he's got ladders, he's got 4 kids living with him there, 4 little kids.
Okay. So,
I just don't understand how he got the okays to do what he's doing to that house. He extended the foundation, which I don't understand, and the house is humongous. It just don't look like the house that was there.
okay. So what we can do, sir, to satisfy you.
Pull up there, I don't hear well.
So what we can do, sir, to satisfy your concerns is we can refer you to DPD. What we can do is we'll refer you to DPD. Jared will provide you with his business card, and he'll follow up with a phone call, and you can address that to him, and we'll forward that to inspectional services in the building department to get your concerns. Okay. And those are the appropriate departments that can help you with that, sir. Yeah. Okay? Thank you for your time. Appreciate you coming in. You follow up with DPD in the morning, and they'll listen to your concerns. Have a good evening. Moving back to minutes for approval. Any comments, concerns, edits, reviews?
Very extensive, Jared. 17 pages?
Yes.
That was a busy meeting, though.
I seek a motion to accept the minutes.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to accept the minutes for August 12, 2019.
Have a second.
I'll second the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Acceptance of minutes, roll call.
Chairman Perrin,
Accept the minutes.
Member Peck,
Approve the minutes.
Member Callahan,
Approve the minutes.
Member McCarthy.
Approve the minutes.
Thank you very much. Minutes have been approved. Any other comments, concerns, board members?
First of all, I want to congratulate Jared on his elevation to associate planner. Well-deserved, so do a great job. Thank you very much.
I'd like to echo that. Congratulations, Jared. You've, the DPD has come full circle, and at the competence level, your preparedness, your communication, your follow-up. Right now, under Christine, we got a fine old machine. We just had the recent departure of Mr. Byrne, which was sad, but it was a positive emotion for him. But I'm very happy to hear of your promotion to associate. It's a bonus for the city of Lowell. The youth invigoration we have in that department right now, it's very well sought after, and I thank you. We have any?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to echo the same sentiment. So congrats, Mr. Alvarez. I always thought you were planner, so this is, well deserved and probably overdue. So thank you for being part of the DPD and the team. I know if I have any issues or concerns, you're very helpful. So you're a great benefit to the city and to DPD.
Thank you, Van. Dennis?
I'd just like to say congratulations, and I think that the department is doing a great job with you, as well as the others in the department. The comments that we get, I think, are the best I've ever seen since we've been on the board, and the preparedness of the applicants is getting better. The timeliness of your responses, I mean, we got the reviews in tonight, which was great. I think we only mentioned that the last meeting we had. So it's wonderful to see the responsiveness and the thoroughness of the department. Thank you.
Well done. I do have for record some submittals this evening. Jared, placed in part of the public record. Do you have any handouts for us? Great. We have two? Okay.
647 Pawtucket Boulevard, that's the bowling alley, changing their signage. And then continuation of 55 Florence Road.
One thing, actually, I'd like to bring up, Jared, I know we've been talking about recently about applications, getting everything submitted. I did notice on a couple of the applications today, looking on board, that a couple of them had copies of photos of the postings at the house. I know that's not part of the application, but is that something we could encourage, postings of the notice at the property? Is that something we can encourage? It's not part of the application process, but something we can encourage petitioners to do, because it would help out a lot.
Absolutely, and that's something that I believe that Christine and I both do, where we require them to send us a photo of it as soon as it's gone up. So we at least store it digitally right now. So that is something that it's just a good check to make sure that everyone's doing their abutter notices and everything like that. So we do collect the photos. We don't necessarily distribute them, put them online and things like that, but we do have the photos. Maybe we can just put them online as a simple step afterwards.
If you could post them online, that'd be great. I mean, so we can get that stuff that's, I know you provide us the information at the regular meetings and mail us stuff, but the photos that they're posted online, we can always pull that up. But that's just it's a good suggestion, a good thing that to have, even though it's not part of the application process, it's good to have online. But and again, I didn't get a chance to say, but I obviously share the same sentiments as everybody else. I mean, you're doing an absolutely fabulous job. I mean, the minutes alone, I mean, it's just so. We might have to, we could probably do a play out of it, the way you keep them, which would be great. It'd be like the next great Oscar winner or something. So, but congratulations again. Thank you thank you for all you do, and I wish you the best of luck. So, thanks.
Thank you. That being said, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second the motion.
Meeting is adjourned. Have a good evening.